Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, this is a special episode, and I'll be doing two dinosaurs against at once. And so the dinosaurs that we'll actually be talking about is Homalocephale and Riojasaurus. And let's start with Riojasaurus. Riojasaurus is actually a prosauropod, which is ancestor of the sauropods, which are the long-necked dinosaurs, and it lived in the Triassic period. Around 215 to 205 million years, pretty much a 10 million year span, and its size is 35 feet long and weighs 10 tons. And of course, it's a herbivore. And pretty much it walks on its four legs. But with Riojasaurus is actually because since its teeth are kind of actually very interesting, they're very leaf-shaped teeth, suggesting it eats plants, but it actually eats the softer leaves and probably some shrubs that were actually around in the Triassic time. So it was actually a pretty easy living for the prosauropods to actually eat all the food that they can eat in the Triassic and excuse me, in the early parts of the Jurassic. So it would actually be very interesting of how these dinosaurs would actually behave. Now, they would have actually almost behaved similarly as the sauropods, but when you actually look at it this way, the sauropods are actually very heavily built, and whereas the prosauropods, they're lighter built, kind of actually body structure compared to the sauropods, is because the prosauropods, their ancestors actually walked on two legs, which means they actually gave them a lot more agility. So I think these dinosaurs would actually have been a little more agile than the sauropods, so that they could get away from predators a lot more often. But there weren't that many predators to actually hunt this dinosaur down. So it lived in South America, and it is actually a pretty interesting place in South America because South America was also connected to Africa during that time when the supercontinent of Pangaea was actually in its last legs. So if you look back at this kind of time, you actually would see a whole range of prosauropods, smaller theropod dinosaurs, and you would see a different range of reptiles that would have been around at that particular time. But of course, the climate at that time was actually warm, and it would have been a little bit drier than the other dinosaur periods. The Jurassic would have been a little bit more wet, whereas the Cretaceous would actually have been a tad bit cooler and probably had a little more humid environments. So it would actually be very interesting of what the climate would have actually been like. But Riojasaurus, it actually does have a couple of defenses. It has the tail to defend itself, and the tail is actually primarily going to be its number one weapon to defend itself. Is you can whack a predator to actually keep its distance. It wouldn't actually injure the predator that much unless if it was a very powerful whip. But I mean, it would have keep the predator at bay from trying to attack this kind of adversary. But also another defense that Riojasaurus actually has, it has a thumb claw that can actually defend itself. Now that would be its secondary defense. It wouldn't actually use that defense very much, because since it would actually have to use that thumb claw to protect itself if the predator was coming towards it face to face. And so that would actually been the secondary defense for that. You know, the claw would have actually done damage. It would have actually done really serious damage. If it actually hit the neck of the predator would die really quickly from blood loss. And if it hits the throat, could puncture the windpipe, and it would killed the predator really quickly. It would have been dead within a minute. So, but the extinction of Riojasaurus is a mystery because in the Triassic, in the late Triassic, Pangea actually broke up, and so you would actually see like a huge rain of volcanic activity, and so that would have probably caused most of the extinction of the extinction of most reptiles. But a few dinosaurs would have gone extinct, but it would have actually but most dinosaurs actually survived that extinction, and they actually were in all the continents in that particular time when Pangea was actually together. And because since that North America was breaking away from Africa, and you actually had Africa breaking away from Europe, and that would actually started the birth of the Atlantic Ocean. And so that would actually started the Atlantic Ocean, and pretty much changed the environment too. It would actually change the environment dramatically. Carbon dioxide levels would actually have been much higher, and also there was not that much oxygen at that point. It's because before the Triassic extinction, the Permian extinction actually kind of took a toll on the planet, and that was pretty much, the planet was still trying to recover from that extinction. So carbon dioxide levels would have actually been really high at that point. So it would have been really hard to breathe in that kind of air if we actually ever go back in that particular time. But with the prosauropods, they did evolve into the gigantic sauropods that we know today, that we know already, like Apatosaurus, Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus, Argentinosaurus, the whole 9 yards. All these sauropods that actually came about in the Jurassic and parts of the Cretaceous. So it was actually the Jurassic was a very successful period for sauropods, and sauropods dominated the Jurassic like crazy. They populated almost everywhere. And for the other dinosaur that I'm actually going to talk about is a Homalocephale. If I can get the pictures up here, and I can actually tell you how much what this dinosaur is. It's a small dinosaur. So Homalocephale is actually a small pachycephalosaur, and lived in the Cretaceous 80 to 70 million years ago. It's only 5 feet long, but it probably weighed hundreds of pounds. So it's a very small dinosaur. Of course, it ate plants and also was found in Asia. So it actually been a very common ancestor. It would have been an ancestor to Pachycephalosaurus, Dracorex, and Stygimoloch. Those kinds of dinosaurs. And this is an early ancestor to those kinds of dinosaurs. But even though it would still have been around with some bigger pachycephalosaurs during that time 80 to 70 million years ago, because there's Stegosaurus, which is a bigger pachycephalosaur that was actually found in Mongolia and parts of China. But since that these dinosaurs are actually called the bone-headed dinosaurs, is because they actually have a dome on their heads, and they would actually probably mainly use them for display, but also they would actually probably use them for mating rituals. Like males would actually shove each other to see who's the strongest male in the group to actually mate with the females. That's pretty much what they probably would have. What the males would use them for. The females probably would have had smaller domes, so that they probably didn't have to fight for territory that much, but they probably did use it for defending themselves. But I do think that the pachycephalosaurs did actually use their domed heads to actually defend themselves whenever they could. They would actually just ram the predator to keep at bay. But since this is a smaller pachycephalosaur, it probably didn't even need to do that. It actually probably just ran away from the predators, because speed would actually have been its #1 weapon. And so #1, and pretty much for a smaller animal, speed is your #1 weapon, and that's what it really needs to be. If you're a small herbivore, speed would actually be your #1 weapon. and it's still an unknown dinosaur, so it's actually going to be very hard for me to actually give you an understanding of what this dinosaur, probably how it behaved, and also probably how it lived and all that kind of stuff. But it did live in the warm climate, so it actually been around in like some forested areas, but also it probably would have been spotted in like the edge of the forest near the deserts, because during that time in Mongolia and China, there was a huge desert around at that time. There were rainforests that were at the coast, so it'd actually be very warm climate at that time, and we would see different ranges of predators. There's Electrosaurus, Tyrannosaurus would have been dominating at that time. Electrosaurus, which is a medium-sized tyrannosaur, and would actually probably give a good scare for Homalocephale and some other dinosaurs at that time. But also Tarbosaurus was actually around that time too. But everybody knows the Tarbosaurus Bator, which is also called Tyrannosaurus Bator, which actually lived later, which was actually around probably like 75 to 70 million years ago. So it's been around at that time. But when we look at the other predators, we would actually see Velociraptor. Velociraptor would have been a very scary adversary. Would be a scary predator to go up against, to like look at, and also try to like get away from, because Homalocephale would actually have the speed to get away from Velociraptor, but for a prey size like that, it would have actually been too small for Velociraptor to actually handle. One Velociraptor would actually take it down, but a pack, no, they need larger prey. So it would actually need to go after like animals like Protoceratops and those kinds of animals. But the extinction of Homalocephale was basically climate change. Climate change would actually just be the #1 category for this extinction. And when the temperatures and also your environment change, it's actually going to be very hard for animals to actually adapt to new changes in the environment. Like the plants would actually change, the predators and the other animals would have changed, and it actually been harder for these animals to actually adapt to those kinds of animals also. So it's actually going to be very hard for but since it's a smaller animal, Homalocephale would have probably survived a little bit longer than some of the other dinosaurs that were actually a little bit bigger. But I would say that since it did actually probably did have a hard time probably coping with like the expanding desert, and also the new predators that were actually coming in. So that would actually been a really hard thing for Homalocephale. Alright, that's it for now. Now, 2 straight weeks there will be no episodes, so there will actually be a break for me. It'll stop doing episodes for 2 straight weeks. So this would actually give people some more time to actually enjoy the holidays, and so you guys actually, hope you guys have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and hopefully, and also have a Happy New Year. In that way, we can actually start a new episode in January in the new year. So in 2014, we'll actually do a new episode. So that'll be good. That'll be a good start. And also, you can also still email me your questions. In the next episode after those weeks would actually be an answer questions episode. So if you have a question about dinosaurs or other prehistoric life, email me dinochrist71@gmail.com, or otherwise you can actually you can actually write on the Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris fan page on Facebook. You can write on the wall. You can write the questions on the wall of that fan page, and also you can follow me on Twitter at CSGrawl, and you can follow me on there. I post some pretty cool stuff on there. And also, all of you guys actually have a very good holiday. Have a very good holidays, and make sure you actually make sure you treat your family very well in this holiday season. And it's very important to actually see family in the holidays, and it's always going to be very important to see your family in the holidays, because it makes the holidays a lot more better and makes your life a lot happier, even though you might actually have some hard feelings for some people, but the holidays is just a time to forget about those hard feelings and just enjoy being around family. All right, that's it for now. Make sure to take care of the people around you, and also for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for a good education. It's very important to have a good education. And right now I'm back at home for the holidays in my hometown, so it's actually good to actually get away from school for a month. So it'd actually be very, very kindly to actually get away from the 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 learning and all that kind of stuff. But learning's still fun. It's still fun. It's still fun to learn and all that kind of stuff. But it's always fun to actually go back home and actually just kind of relax a little bit. So I'll see you guys in the new year, and take care of yourselves, and happy holidays, everybody.